Hello from beautiful and sunny Firenze. We got to Florence last night. I'm glad to have a few days here. As you can probably hear, there's a good old Italian protest, a strike going on just a few blocks away from us here, and I'm standing in front of kind of ground zero for the Italian Renaissance. These are the doors of the Baptistery. In 1401, that's kind of thought of as the beginning of the Italian Renaissance. There was a contest to create these doors on the Baptistery of the Duomo in Florence. And two famous entrants entered this contest. Filippo Brunelleschi and Lorenzo Ghiberti. Ghiberti won, and these are Ghiberti's famous doors here that depict different biblical stories. And Brunelleschi lost, but then he went on to be commissioned by Lorenzo de' Medici to build the dome of the Duomo. And so both these doors kind of ushered in an era of unprecedented creativity and ingenuity in the artistic world, and politics and philosophy and rhetoric. It was very much a rebirth of, and that's what Renaissance means, rebirth, and revival of classical culture, reviving ancient Roman and Greco-Roman authors and thinkers and artists, and the dome particularly represents that. There hadn't been a dome created like Brunelleschi's in over 1,000 years, which is amazing to think about. This technology of creating this dome was lost to history. And we recently visited Michelangelo's David in Academia, and that was the largest kind of freestanding sculpture to date. Now that kind of technology had been lost, or that kind of technique had been lost for a millennia. And so in rediscovering, going back to the sources and rediscovering these techniques and these authors of the Greco-Roman world, this city, Florence, patronized by the wealthy Medici family, was ground zero in Europe of this cultural proliferation, and again, this celebrating human achievement that unlocked human potential in an incredible way. And it's inspiring. It's inspiring to be here, to see what human beings are capable of, and to appreciate what human beings are capable of, and to enjoy it. So really thrilled to be here. I love Florence. It's probably my favorite European city because of all the art and history here. And really glad to be here, learning and kind of walking in the footsteps of these great Renaissance thinkers that made our world, and artists that made our world better and more beautiful. Michelangelo's David, the striking 14-foot tall masterpiece that is emblematic of the Renaissance. The Renaissance was a movement, a cultural achievement that really validated the human experience, validated the here and now. It was a departure from an era of scholasticism during the medieval period, often mischaracterized as the Dark Ages. They weren't dark, but they did emphasize the afterlife and the life to come. And the Renaissance wanted to reclaim the human spirit, validate life on earth and all things human and human potential. And you can look at David and you see his muscular strength and just the robust attention to detail that Michelangelo paid to the human body, the human anatomy. He wanted to validate human potential. Michelangelo saw himself as a vessel of God. That was the role of the creator, to channel divine power, create beauty, to better and help us lead more fulfilling lives here on earth. And that's an inspiration for us today. How can we each be a part of making our world more beautiful? And the reality is, life on earth does matter, and we can make it better and more beautiful in our everyday. I'm at the home of Dante Alighieri, the last medieval man. Dante lived in the 1200s, and he is most famous for the Divine Comedy. It's a poem, an epic poem, in 3 parts: the Purgatorio, the Inferno, and the Paradiso. And in this epic poem, Dante is led by his mentor Virgil, of course, the Roman author of the Aeneid, the epic poem Aeneid, and going through the afterlife and reflecting on what happens when we die, and the life on here and here to come. So last medieval man, and very emblematic of again this medieval emphasis on not the life here and now, but the life to come. And again, as we've been discussing here in Florence, this is also the home of the Italian Renaissance. And the real ethos of the Renaissance was emphasizing the life here and now. Like, yes, the afterlife matters. Like, what happens when we die? That's an important question to ask and answer for ourselves. But that doesn't mean we can't cultivate our humanity the fullest and cultivate our human potential and unlock that human potential. And that value, the Renaissance really placed a value on that, which is why they invested in arts and beauty and incredible design and architecture and politics and philosophy and education. These are all things that you care about only if you think that life here on earth, the here and now and the now matters. And so Dante is called the last medieval man because he kind of marks this shift between the Middle Ages and then kind of the early Renaissance into the Renaissance, followed by Petrarch, who came after him and was really kind of a forerunner of the Renaissance, someone who wanted to go back to the classical Greco-Roman texts and revive these texts and ideas to improve life here and now and to apply to make our lives better. One last point on Dante, his language in his epic poem, The Divine Comedy, helped invent kind of modern Italian language and kind of helped create this idea of a modern Italy instead as well. Italy did not become a country until the 1800s, and it was for most of Italian's history. That's relatively recent. For most of Italy's history, they were discrete city-states. You weren't Italian, you were Florentine, you were Venetian, you were Neapolitan, and they were often warring these city-states, and they had different dialects and cuisines and cultures, which is why even today in Italy you can drive an hour and be in a different region and have a totally different dialect and totally different cuisine and culture. And so Dante, he was from Florence, of course this is his home, and he helped cultivate and define that the language he used was kind of a modern Italian that was Florentine in dialect, but kind of came to define modern Italian, and again forged this idea of what it meant to be an Italian. Language is an important part of national identity, cultivating a sense of national identity. So fun to be here, walking in the footsteps of Dante, this thinker, this writer, this poet who is very much a part of the great conversation and still has lots of insights to offer us today. So we are in Florence at the Pitti Palace, and this is where the Medicis lived. And it's an absolutely gorgeous, huge structure right in the heart of Florence. And we just finished touring their numerous halls of floor-to-ceiling masterpieces, beautiful works of art. At Civic Renaissance, we've been thinking about what are the ingredients of a Renaissance, and that's a timely and topical question to ask, being in Florence, the heart of the European and the Italian Renaissance in the 14 and 1500s. And so what things that we've been exploring, ingredients of the Renaissance, an appreciation of human dignity, an appreciation of the fundamental intrinsic worth of every single human being, humanism, recognizing the human potential of each human being. It's related to human dignity, and looking and investing in education and the arts in order to cultivate all aspects of the fullness of our humanity. Another ingredient that we've been reflecting on is leisure. We talk about this concept of schole that was very important to the ancient Greeks, of just unstructured leisure time to cultivate our minds and cultivate our hearts and souls, where people would spend time at Aristotle's Lyceum or Plato's Academy in ancient Greece to just think and reflect and read deeply and think big thoughts, ask big questions about life and meaning and origin and purpose. Or, we're in Italy right now. There's this concept called la dolce far niente, which is the sweetness of doing nothing. That's a version of leisure time as well. And in our hurried world, it seems that there are so many things that distract us from just sitting and being and just enjoying stillness and quietness and solitude. Another ingredient of the Renaissance is people who invest in the arts and in culture and in education. The Medicis were patrons of geniuses of the Italian Renaissance: Raphael, Botticelli, Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo. They invested in all of them. They patronized all of them, commissioned work from all of them. And many of them were right here in this courtyard that we're standing in right now, which is just extraordinary. And so the notion of people of means, of elites in society, investing in talent, investing in education, investing in the arts, investing in culture, and giving people the opportunity, people with talent the opportunity, and people the opportunity to cultivate their talents, so that they can make the world better and more beautiful. So those are some reflections I have just being here at the Medici Palace, this magnificent estate, just brimming with history and beauty. So I hope that can help us think more clearly about the recipe, the ingredients for starting a Renaissance today.